Good morning, Ashwin sir. Good morning, everyone. When I think of mining, I reminded of one more story, which is again from monastery, and it is the story of cracked pot. So in a monastery, the head of this monastery was drinking tea from a pot which was having a hole, and whenever he used to hold the cup, the tea used to drip. No one had the courage to ask him that why you are carrying on with this cracked pot and having this dripping tea. But then a younger boy came and he asked the same question that why you are having this cracked pot, why don't you have the better one? He didn't reply, but then the younger one brought a good cup and gave it to him. He didn't use the new cup. In fact, he poured the tea from the new cup to the old cup. And his curiosity was growing. After a certain time, he told that this dripping tree reminds me of the time which is flowing and how we have to be calm in those times. It is also not to cling to the past emotions or the past experiences. We always cling to previous experiences or exposure with someone, and then when we meet next, that becomes, the starting point. So that should not be there. And the third most profound thing, what he told, that what is the purpose of the cup? Is it to hold the tea or is it to drink the tea? And that's why when I relate to the mining also resources are finite. Every day you are going to the closure of the mine. You are not supposed to hold the deposit. If you have been given the mine, start the operation as early as possible. And mining, what you are having the first experience at the starting of the mine. When you go deeper, the ore composition will be different what you have encountered in the beginning. And today's story in Indian mining industry is the same. If you see out of 152 auction mines, only 44 are operational. And that signifies that we are still holding the reserves. We are not able to use the dripping cup. What has happened in the past few years, that the iron ore production and the share of the good quality of ore. So 62% Fe production share, which was 60% in FY11, has gone down to 40% in FY25. And that also means that the specific consumption of ore is going up. If you see the data also, the iron ore production from FY20 to 25 has grown with a CAGR of 3.4%, whereas the steel production is at the CAGR of 6.9%, so almost half. So unless we increase the iron ore production, we are going to a situation where we'll have more steel plants but shortage of iron ore. And this has to be seen in the context of a lower quality, higher specific consumption. And the data also suggests that 1% decrease in Fe content and commensurate 1% increase in gangue material, aluminum and silica, the impact on hot metal cost is 2 to 2.5%, which also is commensurate with the high slag rate, which you have to dispose somewhere else, high fuel rate, where you need to use more carbon, and the high flux, again, which is being mined. So government has been working, and there are indications that FY27-28, the number of new mines will start producing and will not have that situation. But again, it's a futuristic statement, and how it has to be implemented, that has to be seen. We all know importance of steel. Ma'am has already told about it. That is the highest employment multiplier, 6.8 times, and direct employment to 6 lakhs people, indirect to 20 lakh. Steel is also third largest contributor, 17.92% of the index of 8 core industries, which collectively represents 40.27% of indexes in industrial production. So one side there are positive stories, because we all know that India is a growing country in terms of economy, in terms of population. And many times I feel that it is the prey and predator. So if the uh, prey is economic growth, predator is population. So if you don't increase economic opportunities, you may have many people who are unemployed, and that's why still like industry comes to that rescue. But at the same time, the carbon footprint is also very high. We all know that iron and steel industry also contributes 10 to 20% of the country emission. So one lever which is very clear that if you have good quality of our iron ore, if you beneficiate it, use higher Fe content material, your slag rate will be lower, your fuel consumption will be lower, and your carbon footprint will be lower. As of now, most of the steel companies, they are working on the path of decarbonization. One is on our own target which the different companies have taken, and we all know that how CBAM had come and is also an indication that you start preparing at your own backyard. And that's why most of the companies, they are working on phase 1, phase 2. So phase 1, 2 approaches are energy efficiency, how they can have better energy efficient equipments, which again means less electricity, how you can move from fossil fuel energy driven source to the RE sources, and then some of the enablers which almost all the companies are putting, that is use of PCI, CDQ, and top pressure recovery turbine. Phase 2, most of the companies, they are also working on CCUS as well as on the hydrogen. The hydrogen part, the important is it has to be seen at the cost of it as well as the capex. So one study shows that 0.88 USD per kg will be having the parity of coking coal with 260 USD dollar. So if the prices of hydrogen comes down, probably that will help in that journey, and we need to have infrastructure related to the hydrogen economy. And one more study of Ministry of Steel also suggests that greening the steel plant in India will require 283 billion USD. So one is the capex. CCUS part, as of now, it is 45 to 60 USD per ton of CO2 abatement. However, most of the steel companies are looking for to bring it down to 20. However, there are challenges related to CCUS, high capital and OPEX, energy intensive solvent regeneration, space constraints, particularly in the older plants, CO2 transport and storage, and selection of technology, because each plant will or the process will have different concentration of CO2. So I'm not being pessimistic that these are the challenges and companies are not doing. As of today, each company is trying to see how they can move faster towards decarbonization. And we all know that energy efficiency, water, climate change, and biodiversity, these all are related. And if you work on one direction, it will help you in getting the desired goals in other direction. Decarbonization, I'm not very pessimistic on one particular area also, because it's more on a peer pressure. So whenever I compare biodiversity and climate change, I see a lot of efforts going on the decarbonization, but equally important care not on the biodiversity. So those who are from the biodiversity area, they always say that we are yet to see a Paris moment in biodiversity, primarily because most of the media, most of the stakeholders, they want on decarbonization path. But for mining, it is very important that we need to take care of the biodiversity and ensure that our operations are not harming those wild animals as well as the local flora and fauna. And the guiding philosophy is not new. It is from Atharvaved Bhumi Sukta, which defines that how the mining should be done. And it is written that Yate Bhumi Vikhnami Chipram Tadapi Rohotu Mate Marmam Vimagvari Mate Hirdam Arapipam. And that means that whenever I dig, it should be replenished as early as possible. So in today's parlance, mine closure plan, how you are making and how you are progressively going towards the mine closure. And second, should not disturb the core of the Mother Earth. in India it is called marm. So your reckless mining should not happen. Mining, that's why I say it is a science as well as the art. How you are doing it so that it looks good, it is not harming the nature, and other stakeholders are also taken care of. So as we are moving into the different transition path of phase 1, phase 2 in our journey of decarbonization and green steel, so the famous point which I feel that the time is now only, and I would like to quote Shanti Parva, Mahabharat, Addev Kuru Yat Shreyo Matva Kalut Gadem. This is the right time, and if things are for the good of uh, the country or for the good of the society, you should not delay it. We should do it as early as possible. Thank you very much.